Hi there, I'm Yvette.
And I'm Peter.
And this is our bus, Abby.
We've named our bus after Abiona, the Roman goddess of outbound travel. We're hoping for all the good omens we can get, because the plan is to convert Abby into a motorhome. We're complete newbies at this, and we're kind of hoping that these videos will act as a guide for someone else who's doing a similar thing, and someone might be able to pick up some tips on what to do, or more likely what not to do. So in this video we'll be dealing with the little step that's behind the driver's cab, and we'll also be finishing off removing the insulation from the ceiling. Just behind the cab there's this step, and I think there's probably some wiring and maybe some air conditioning pipes and stuff in behind there, and this little piece of plywood step. This big bit of timber here too is part of it. I'm not really sure how it's fixed, so I'm going to have a wee look at that and see if maybe we can take that out, because we're planning on putting something in behind the driver's seat, probably a little cabinet or something like that, just to fill in the space. I mean, we would really like to probably either get rid of this or at least trim it down so we can put a cabinet in behind here. This side here where the other seat is, which is going to remain, this single seat, we're going to try and leave this as factory as possible. So if we take out this step, it will only be up to probably to around about here, where we'll probably try and maybe cut the step off if we can, if depending on what's underneath, and then probably box in this area here where the seat is, but just keeping all that structurally the same as it is, just because we don't want to mess with anything that's going to cause us to have issues when it comes time to COF. That is definitely a problem area, I believe, with seating and seat belts and the like. So yeah, we don't want to disturb that too much if we can. But yeah, I'll see how we go here with the step, and I'll let you know what we find. Okay, so here we are with that step that I was trying to discover what was under it or around it. There's a little footstep here which goes under the front seat there, like that. That's how it would normally sit. So I've just taken that out temporarily, and underneath that is a little fuse box under here, which actually has most of the main fuses, like sort of engine fuses and whatnot under there. So I'm not going to touch that too much. And then there was this bit of plywood here which was on this little step, which I wasn't sure what the story was with that, but I have since discovered that underneath there now is nothing really, just more bodywork. I'm going to probably replace that bit of plywood anyway, so but for now I'll just pop it back. I was just wanting to see what was under there, but there's nothing that we can sort of disturb, so we're just going to leave that how it is. So now I'm going to endeavour just to move this piece of timber, which I'm not really entirely sure how it's fixed. I guess we'll see. Hopefully it's not bolted up from the bottom. I might pop underneath and double check that though. Hopefully we can remove it. Yep, so just glued down this piece of timber. So I've just prized that up and get the glue off. I'm probably going to replace these floorboards, I think most of them anyway. But for now, yeah, I'll just clean that up a little bit, and then we've just got that little bit more space to play with when it comes to a floor plan. We're going to be going down to this level and probably straight up there, and then we can figure out what we're going to do in this space behind the seat with the cupboard. And at least now we know what's there. And like I said, we're not going to go any further into this area here under the seat here at the front. I'm just going to leave that as is and probably box it in. Hey folks, after a few days of taking heaps of stuff out of the bus, we've just spent the last hour or so putting heaps of stuff back into the bus so that we can take it to the dump. I'll show you what we have put back in. So here we go. It's starting to look a bit like a mess again. So I'm not too sure what this is going to cost. I'll probably let you know when we get to the tip and get rid of it all, and then we can get also maybe an idea of what we weigh with regards to the bus. That'd be quite handy going forward as well. Offload all this stuff this afternoon we'll get a decent idea of what the weight is once we come out on the weighbridge. Now, we were going to think about selling the seats or something like that. We weren't too sure what to do with them. We were trying to do something, you know, a bit eco-friendly, you know, if someone can make use of them or whatever, but you know, we just really couldn't wait, I guess, till we could, you know, stick them up on Trade Me and then sell them and all that sort of carry on. So we've just decided, oh, we'll get rid of them, and maybe at the dump, though, because it's a transfer station, they might sort it out and do something with it themselves. Yeah, so we're going to be heading off shortly, and we'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so we've just been to the dump and got rid of all of the stuff that was in here, and pretty much all of the stuff that would come out of here. It was our local what do you call it, transfer station in Henderson, and we had initially 3,940 kgs is the weight when we went in, and when we came out it was 3,400 and something, and it ended up being like 360 kgs of junk that we got rid of. So we're pretty happy with what the weight is, I guess, when we're finished now. So we've got plenty of weight to play with when we come to putting stuff back into the bus. We shouldn't have any problems getting it all in as long as we use lightweight stuff, and of course we want to keep it as light as possible, you know, going up big hills and whatnot when we get out and about on the roads. So, you know, as light as possible would be good, but we have got plenty to play with. Got a few more bits and pieces to tidy up, of course, before we start putting things in, namely the rust in the back panel window there, in the bottom corner there. It's a little bit rusty. I don't think it'll take too much to fix it up, but of course the flooring will need a complete refurb. Hopefully from there we'll be putting stuff in rather than taking it out. Hi there. We have been experimenting today and yesterday with different ways of getting the ceiling insulation out of the Toyota Coaster. We took the majority of the stuff down, you know, by hand, just pulling down the bats, and it's a pretty grubby job. It got most of the main stuff down, and then we were left with the glued on, seriously painful adhesive with a bit of fluffy stuff stuck to it on most of the ceiling. So we've experimented with a few different things, and mainly from videos that people have put up about what they've used to dissolve it and to get the whatever they can down. Some people have left it a little bit, you know, sort of not taking too much of the stuff down, and we're not too worried about it. We're not too worried about leaving something there if we have to, because we're just going to put insulation back up. But we just like to get as much of it down as we possibly can. So I'll just show you what we've done so far, and I'll show you maybe what we've purchased to try and get rid of some of this mucky adhesive. So here's the situation at the present with the ceiling. Some of it's a foam stuff, and some of it is this sort of woolly, stringy material that came in like bats, which is all glued on to the ceiling. Most of this stuff here is pretty much what we just pulled down by hand, and that's what was left. This sort of stringy, fibrey material, and it's quite fluffy, and you know, you can still pull that down by hand, but it's a bit painstaking. What we've decided is the best way to do this is to get as much of this off as we possibly can, get it back to as little fluff on there as possible. We tried using a product which some other people had used to spray on called Dissolve It, which is like a citrus product. We just got this from Bunnings. We just got a small container of it just to try it out, and that seemed to work a little bit. There was another mention that someone said maybe just use some engine degreaser, although it's not. It was very green solution, but then again I think maybe it's a bit like fighting fire with this stuff here. It's pretty nasty looking stuff, and I think maybe the best way to get it off is probably to really attack the adhesive that's stuck to the back. So our other option was to try out a can of engine degreaser, which just got from Super Cheap Auto. I think it was just a $5 can. It wasn't expensive stuff, and it doesn't go very fast. So I did try some out down the back here on these panels here, and it did work pretty well. Like I sprayed it on there, like these ones down here lower. Sprayed it on there to give it a good soak, then gave it a few minutes to do its stuff, and I then started scraping off just with a plastic scraper so I didn't scratch the bodywork too much. So just used a little plastic scraper like this just to sort of get in under it and scrape it off, and it worked pretty well. Once the adhesive was really soft, it came off, and I mean, it's still a bit of hard work, but got it back to, and I think we'll just leave it like this. I think we're not probably going to go, probably could do another coat of degreaser and maybe take some more of this glue off, but it's pretty much gone, so I don't know if we're going to go too mad on it. There's no rust or anything like that to worry about, and I don't want to get to the point where we start scratching the paint. Like there's a little patch here which is where the paint's come off, so probably have to touch that up with some primer or some etch primer or something at some stage once we're finished with all the insulation. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with what that's done. It took me probably about half an hour once I sprayed it on to do these 3 little panels here, and that took pretty much a can of that degreaser to do it. So another thing we've decided that might be an option to do before we get to using just the degreaser is to, on some of these bits where the fluff is still stuck to it, is to use, this is just a standard scrubbing brush. We got this from Bunnings, just a little long bristled plastic bristled scrubbing brush. This was actually brand new yesterday, but been using it a bit. So yeah, and just sort of did a bit of this carry on, just sort of circular motions, and this sort of saved us from scratching the body with the plastic bristles, but it also took all this most of the fluffy stuff off and gives us just a little bit left with mainly adhesive in this area. So I think the plan is maybe we'll use this brush to get most of the fluff off, and then we'll go back with the degreaser and spray that on, give it a few minutes, and then scrape off the rest. I'm pretty sure that'll get us back to most of the ceiling looking roughly like this, where there's pretty much gone and just a little bit of adhesive left. It will be a fair bit of work still. Obviously it's a pretty big ceiling, so it's going to take some time. It looks like, from what I've found online, that there's not a lot of options to get it off that work. I think this might be as good as it gets for us. That's the plan anyway. It might take us a couple of days and a couple of goes at it to do it, but I think we'll persist with that sort of process. Yeah, and I guess another good thing about using like the degreaser stuff, the engine degreaser on the ceiling here, is that it's not water based, and that when I was spraying it in up here, it's going to drip down in behind here, but at least I know with this stuff it's going to evaporate at some point and not going to leave any damp, and not going to possibly give us any rusty type problems or anything like that. It'll dry eventually even if it was water, but I just thought that would probably be another good thing, is that at least it's going to evaporate. So hopefully that's another good reason to use it. Like I say, we're going to end up using probably quite a bit of this, and that's probably the only thing that we're not that happy about, is that it's not great for Mother Earth and whatnot. By the way, this is our son Liam, and he's helping us out today. He's not just the hired help, he's our baby boy, and he's here to give us a hand with all the rotten jobs, all the fun stuff.
That's me.
Alright.
Let's get to work. Put it down. Get to work.
You found that you had to give the insulation a damn good soaking with the degreaser, and just watch out for the drips, because that can get in your eyes and on you, so try and avoid those. Also be careful to cover anything you don't want to get the degreaser on. We've covered the cab here with a tarp, and also the floor can get very slippery, so take care when you're walking around.
Nearly fell out the bus.
Next time, I'm going to have a crack at the rear window rust and also the leaky tail lights. We hope this video has been somewhat helpful to someone out there, and I hope that you can join us again next time.